I've never really been a very big fan of highly complicated games, mostly because I have always been slow in understanding story advancement. This is why I personally always like playing games that uses its gameplay to acquire my attention. I could blame this for being born in the wrong generation, but most of the people who like video games are born in the same generation as me. So I'm just making up excuses for being dumb at this point. I've put some attention into some of the games I've played before, particularly to the storyline, and most of it wasn't really worth it. Oftentimes it felt like the developers of the game were trying too hard to make the game seem a bit more complex, and in other times it just felt like they were releasing sequels to originally solid games that seemed like a clear attempt of milking money. However, there was one game that caught my attention. Initially I was just scrolling through my YouTube until I came across the gameplay of a Metroidvania. Hold on. It seemed like a pretty simple and easy game, something to relax to after coming home from a long day of work.
Boy, was I wrong.
So I downloaded the game real quick and started playing it. It began by showing a small cutscene which seemed pretty cool. It foreshadowed that I was some basic traveler about to save a city or small town of some sort from a monster, which now that I think back at it, was somewhat accurate. Personally, at first I didn't really feel that special. I just go around killing whatever the hell kind of monsters I could find. Don't kill me! The most annoying part was navigating throughout the game. I have never really played a Metroidvania game before, and it was all a bit new to me. I know that most Metroidvania games had an odd layout for a map, but this one to a rookie just seemed flat out confusing. For starters, I had no idea that this was an open world game, meaning I could go anywhere I wanted to. So some areas just looked like secrets to me, and I spent an entirety trying to find ways without skipping them, wasting precious hours of my life doing what is equivalent to trying to drink soup with a fork. No, seriously though, going through the areas, even though the map is literally equipped, I found myself getting lost. I told myself that I wouldn't spoil the game by looking at gameplays and how-tos online, and that every game deserves an honest and patient playthrough to prove itself, and I am really glad I stuck around with that decision. And this one in particular had absolutely fire music. Really adding a lot of depth to the ambience. Much of the text in-game from whatever the hell these are were very cryptic. It was poetic, but it really did not make much sense to me because, again, I'm a little dense. If any of you have played and finished Hollow Knight, you guys know how absurd the amount of secrets are in this game. It is dangerously addictive to find these out. I always liked games with such secrets in it, especially the kind of games that affect the ending of it. While progressing, I finally met some other NPCs to interact with, often finding side quests and having to go through them even though they weren't really remotely related to the story. At least I got some sort of use out of it. Some provided upgrades, such as charms, smash shards, or new abilities. I actually realized I had to find most of the upgrades if I wanted to go through the map freely. And I'm not gonna lie, getting some of these upgrades felt pretty good. Each upgrade leading to the next, I eventually ran out of them. Some of them even made the game feel a lot easier altogether. The boss fights were very fun, although some were a bit tedious. Most were challenging, and boy were they challenging. Seriously, if I had a penny for every time I died to something stupid, I would have like $1. Don't judge me. The most annoying part was to enter the fights right after realizing the last bench I was on the other side of the map. Through this annoyance, I found the real use of the dream essence. It was to make traveling a bit easier. Until I ran out of them. Most challenging bosses for me were these guys. And of course, the difficulty I faced the most was from this guy. I mean seriously, why did this guy even exist? The world would have been such a nicer and more peaceful place if these guys didn't exist. The platforming in this game is pretty fun. I can find myself running through the areas and finding newer places. It seemed relatively easy. Until I went through whatever the bug hell this was. I mean seriously, Team Cherry really didn't go easy on the player base. What was the point of this? The only thing that kept me mentally sane was the banger audio. I was determined to find what was at the end of this. I had no idea what it was, so it better be something really big and important, right? Are you fucking kidding? All of that was for this. Seeing this old, taller dude to look at this shorter dude, I had no idea what this meant. And I got half a charm. All that hard work for half a charm. Where's the other half? Oh, here it is. Well, at least I got another %, so it's not all bad. Right? As I kept playing, I realized a few things. There's something important behind this that I need to get into. There are 3 bugs that are sleeping, all of whom I need to interact with in order to open this weird looking door. And that was about it. I spent around 15 hours playing this game, platforming and killing random bugs just to realize that I had no idea what I was doing. Why was I doing all this? And why was going behind this X so important? After hours of hard work, I finished the game. I got this ending. and I had no idea what the hell happened, as to why I was dead and why I was fighting this dude. I was pretty confused until I came across Mossback's video. I swear after watching that video, all of the dots that were abandoned began to connect to each other in my head, and this game felt like a masterpiece. For the ones that haven't watched Mossback's video, I'll summarize it for you. This guy is the king, this guy is his son, and this guy is also his son. This is his daughter, this is a bug that controls people through their dreams, and I will be referring to this occurrence as an infection. Infection was controlling all these bugs, and this son was used to entrap this infection inside of his brain and sealed away inside the sac. The ones that I had to interact with were known as the dreamers, all of whom were acting as individual keys to the 3 locks. I unalived them to enter the egg, to kill the infection, or to take the place of this guy to prolong the infection, or to entrap all of us inside the infection and to use her as a lock, or to become the Shade Lord, or to take control of the void and disappearing. The reason I find this to be so deep and touching is because this guy, who is known as the Hollow Knight, was initially empty as a being to control the infection, but as he spent time with his father, he became capable of love and connection, taking away his hollow nature, causing all of the problems that are occurring. Turns out I was so dense that all of that just went through my head. It all made sense to me as I gave proper attention to the text and scenes. I was blown away. I went back to the game and looked for the rest of the charms and finished the game to 112%. Overall, the gameplay was really fun. The storyline was intriguing, almost moving even. I didn't come across any glitches playing this game, and it was genuinely a good experience for me. I just never really thought that a simple 2D video game can be so complex. It really goes to show what game developers can achieve if they put a little bit of creativity behind their work, and how it can make it so successful. The game was fantastic. Definitely a 9.5 out of 10. The 0.5 reduction, of course, was because of this agonizing experience. Seriously, they should have tied people up to this instead of the Brazen Bull.